Hi everyone, it's Cherie from Paper Pieces and Leftovers, and here is the infamous diner that I promised to give you guys the paper piecing tutorial on. It is from MarjorieAnnDesigns.com, and the file is Sock Hop Soda Shop Boys. I was just getting my glue holder ready there. I found that online, and I am using art glitter glue. Now, I've been saying for a long time, if you're new to paper piecing or card making or paper crafts, start with barely art glue. Art glitter glue dries a lot faster and does not have any forgiveness. Now, the colors I used were this pretty silver paper. I ended up going with this one because I actually went with the reflective mirror one and it was too much shine for me. So I went with the brushed metal one. And a little tip is that silver piece actually comes in one solid, but I wanted it to look like swinging doors, not a solid door. So I cut it down the middle. I took my black dauber and lined just that middle line right in the middle, the inside of it with a black dauber. There is the other metal that the mirror foil that I was going to go with, but it was just like looking into a mirror and was throwing me off. Now, for the white base of the word diner and the clock, I used white by American Crafts. All of my paper comes from 12 by 12 cardstock shop. As you know, I get PR packages from them and also a discount on anything that isn't in my monthly box that I get from them. I have a plethora of paper, so it's really hard to switch paper, but later in the video I'm going to show you a sneak peek at the new line Encore. It cuts so nice, and I'm going to do my next project out of it to show you guys, but if you do things with intricate cuts, it is just really perfect for that. So back to my paper color here. That is, the teal color is the Color Pool by American Crafts. I did use Plike, which is plastic-like paper, for the red. All of the red is Plike, and then the white portions of Plike that I used are only going to be the windows and the letters to the word burgers, malts, shakes, and fries, because Plike cuts out very nice as well, and it's super thick, so it gave me a little bit of an elevated look to it. The color I went around the pool with is All That Jazz by Catherine Pooler. And this off-white yellow looking is actually the color Vanilla. It's an off-white, but I went around it with the color Chiffon, which I just showed really quick. It's a really light yellow, and that's by Catherine Pooler. Now, I originally did this video opening up explaining that you want to glue all of your small pieces together first and get them out of the way. That's why I'm starting with the clock. I started with the word diner, and then this goes to the roof of the diner. I will put my little windows together for the door and the actual building, and the clock as well. Those are going to be your smallest pieces, and it seems to go by a lot quicker. As you saw in the beginning, I made 4 of them already. They were all orders, so I've had plenty of practice to get this going, to get it down to a perfection. Now, this is in 2 times because I cannot sit in silence. I can't watch TV where there's like, I don't know, love stories where it's long. I end up falling asleep, or I'm just no longer interested in the movie. And same thing with YouTube. I can't watch a lot of videos if there's just long periods of silence because my brain never slows down. I've been high functioning with a high IQ all my life. And I think I covered it in another video that in 5th grade, I had 3 weeks left and I was failing. My mom was so mad at me. I got my butt whooped. Man, did I get my butt whooped. I was on restriction. I got my ass whooped. And I'm talking wooden spoon and switch because I'm that old. And she took me down to the school. I had my hair yanked, you know, just parenting back in the 90s and the 80s. It was hands-on. You didn't have to worry about CPS and the law coming to your house for your kids to act right. Well, Or that wait till I get you outside. No, we were getting our butt spanked in church in the bathroom. It did not matter. And our arm was being pinched or the back of our hair was being pulled, getting out of the pew, walking down the aisle to go to the bathroom. That was the encore paper. Anyhow, I missed a whole year of school in 5th grade and I did the whole year in 3 weeks and finished just fine. It was not challenging enough to me and nobody got onto it. Now here, the encore paper and your American Crafts line are so close in color that you're going to be fine. The camera does not pick it up, but it is the slightest hue of a difference. It's almost invisible to the eye. I couldn't really see it until I looked through my camera, but the lens can't even pick it up. But if you order the swatch books, you'll be fine. And there are some colors that one doesn't have and the other does, vice versa. They're both great. I will slowly be filling in all of my American Crafts because I've been collecting it for years. If you guys remember, it was coordinations. And that's American Crafts line. And I believe Basil is as well. But the Encore is a 12 by 12 cardstock shop paper. And I'm just so excited for it. I just can't replace all of my paper because I probably have enough to open my store, my own store. Not that I will. Now, number 10, don't get me wrong. I'm kind of all over just trying to fill in the blanks. I'm telling everybody to do swatches. I have swatches of everything. My Copics, my Ohuha markers, my colored pencils, my Prismas. I swatch everything because it always dries on paper. And I went around my windows, which is in the color Lagoon by American Crafts. And I went around it with number 10, but that's just my Hero Arts ombre. I numbered them all because I swatched those as well. And some of them are really close in similarity on the outside cover, even though they dry differently. I numbered them so I have the right pan in my hand to actually use. But I went around the little windows here. In all honesty, I should have went with the middle, but I went with the bottom blue, and it's actually kind of light, but it does look like a window in person because I didn't want it too prominent, I guess. Just because windows don't really have an outside shading, and even when the sun hits it, then it's just reflective. I tried to keep it light. I did not make up for it drying that light, or I would just go around it one more time if I were to do it again. But cutting all these out was a whole mess and a half because I couldn't find a piece and then I could find it. I didn't have to cut anything back out, luckily. I just had to look a little bit harder. And luckily for me, my buckets from scrapbook.com came in. They have lids that stack, but the buckets stack. You could stack the buckets with or without the lid on top, or you could stack the buckets and all the lids on top of your buckets. They're sold out now, but they are just coming in handy. So now that we got everything covered and all the little pieces glued together, we are going to glue this bottom part. Now, I wanted to give you guys just a hint there. You can't see it, but that piece I glued as an entire strip and it does not meet end to end. So if you're like me and forget to resize it in Design Space, cut it in half and let the seam that's not going to be covered be in the middle because it'll be behind the stairs and nobody will catch it. And I've been doing this for over 20 years. You know, it's really easy to see when somebody's trying to copy your work, and that's fine. We put it out there to give you guys ideas. That is absolutely okay. But if you guys are going to copy what I'm doing, I want it to be right, and I don't want to not give you guys all the little hints in between, where that way when you copy my work, it actually looks like mine does, because that's why you guys are copying it, right? Now, we are going to glue the roof on, and the roof is going to go to the building. It's going to be like 1/10 of an inch on the building. I'll tell you guys how to reinforce this if you're not comfortable with it the way it is. And it's just what I do on pieces like this. I marked my center with a white chalk pencil. That way I could line it up with the crack on the bottom. So the overhang on the left and the right was as even as possible. And I always look at the back to eyeball to see if I have as close to the same of a lip as possible, or I use a T ruler, but I just didn't feel like doing all that after the 5th one. If I can't eyeball it, I need to quit. I was gluing this white piece on first. Don't do it that way. It's too hard to get it perfectly even because it's so thin. And that was the T ruler signal. I was telling my daughter. Anyways, she didn't know what I was talking about. And she's used them in school and has seen them, but since the accident, she just doesn't remember what the T ruler is. She brought me a regular one and I was like, no, the T. But I know that she went and got it, so I will show it in the screen here momentarily. Now I'm erasing the little pencil mark that I made and having to give myself a little bit more eraser, so I pulled a little bit out of my little metal piece because it actually slides in and pulls out as you use it. And I don't know why there's a little overhang of this white piece here. It's not really enough to stick off both sides of the building, so I lined up the piece with one side and I cut off the piece that was hanging off. Now here is going to be the trick for your letters. Before you glue them down, you want to lay them underneath the white little line. Oh, she found the T ruler for me, even though I'm not really going to use it because I have that overhang, and on the other side I was hitting my stand. So what I do is I put the letters just a little bit underneath that white line where you could see just a small itty bitty tab of the blue above it. And I'm gonna now line up the yellow stripes, well, the white stripes, off-white, vanilla. It's vanilla color. It's from my stash, but I believe American Crafts still has it. I've had it. I bought tons of it because I used to do the muzzle in that color for my bears, but it's too light. And as I've kept going, I look at my pieces even 2 years ago and think, yipes. I am the biggest judge and the hardest critic of my own pieces. So yeah, don't get me going about pieces of my own. I rip them up more times than not and use them for scrap paper. So I tried to leave the same amount showing of the blue above and below my letters. But I knew at the start and the finish, so burgers is the first word, and then you could do fries, shakes, fries, and malts, or however, but burgers was my first word, malts is my last word. So I took the S from the malts and the B from the burger, gave me a start and an end point. That way, all of my letters are going to fit above that. There are just so many letters in my brain. After doing 5 diners today, I just didn't want to do all the letters. I'll get to those tomorrow. But you guys that ordered them should have your invoices here, or at least a message soon from me letting you know they're done, because there's proof in the video. So sorry if I'm super loud. You probably already turned the volume down. I'm using a different headset than my AirPods just because they're on the charger. So, oh man, you guys have to make sure you check out the design team for Marjorie Ann Designs. The different days of the week now. She added 3 more people, new people, because as you know, a couple people are gone. Marjorie Ann is the nicest person, and she was actually on the phone with me when I went in for my biopsy results because my mom's service was in and out and I needed some kind of support. I couldn't do it to my husband because then he'd have to drive an hour home and he would have been an absolute mess. And Marjorie Ann, she keeps telling me to move closer, and my husband's actually debating it. Her and I have become friends since I was on Little Scraps of Heaven, and Little Scraps of Heaven was actually going to shut her site down a few years ago. And Marjorie Ann had an open DT call, and I applied for it. And I've been with her since, and I absolutely love her. She's so funny and so sweet. And if I need a file made for me, she does. I just give her the idea, and she takes it to a whole different place, and I love it. Well, now for the windows. What I did is the top of the window is going to go at the top of the second stripe or bar. I don't know what you want to call it. The second yellow rod across the building. There's where I was explaining I cut the door in half and I took my black ink. You could take a Copic marker And I just went on the inside with the black of the door to make the definition of the split a little more prominent. That one is going to go at the top of the third bar. And after doing the first and the second one, I was able to just look and have more of a reference than trying to figure out where to place it. And another tip for this part, this step is going to fit right under your door if you place it just right or close. But do not glue that next step on. Use your Zots or double up on your silver or your gray, whatever cardstock you use, because it will give you an indentation. And I do try to avoid those. I've been doing this a long time. And so if I can give you guys little pointers, I absolutely will. I encourage people to scrapbook. But doing all those little pieces first, it made this part go by so much quicker instead of trying to glue each little piece on one by one, because that's what I did for the first one. And I wanted to pluck what little bit of eyebrows I have left out and then start on my eyelashes and nose hair. It was painful. And I don't know why my brain was not going back to what I've taught myself, is the little pieces first, always first. Now, the other thing I've told you guys for the past year and whatever, I've done videos, 2 years now, Cosmic Shimmer Flake and Glitter Glue. If you don't want a sticker runner, because the sticker runners are very expensive, and here I screwed up the clock. It looked fine there, but I screwed it up. I'll explain in a minute. What you do is just run across the back of your little letters with the flake and glitter glue. Let it dry. It's permanent, but it's also movable. It won't come off unless you sit there with a pair of tweezers and pick it off. Now, the good thing about the plaque paper, it's washable. So if you get glue, just a little bit of dampness on a washcloth or a paper towel, and it all comes off. It is that and the metallic paper. Best paper in the world for screw-ups. And the clock actually looked fine there, but thinking about it, we have Richie's Diner not too far from us, and my husband took me there on one of our date nights, but like earlier in the afternoon because it gets really busy there in the evening, and their clock is higher above the roof, not where, you know, we'd see it other places like a school, I guess. Anyhow, we're almost at the end of the video, and now you're just going to put all your letters on, but that's the Cosmic Shimmer Flake and Glitter Glue. Just put it on the back of your letters, let it dry, and once it's clear from the iridescent, you place them on and you're good to go. Any questions, let me know. Take care, and thanks for watching.